Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another shitty day. I'm your host, Shiddy Bill, and as always, it is good to be with you in your living room, or in your car, or in your phone, or on your way to work, on your poop break, because I know you dirty birds be using your phone while you're taking a poop at work, because that's how we do. So Thanksgiving has come and went. That was a nightmare. But today, we're going to talk about something that might have been even worse. We're going to talk about Black Friday shopping and how your boy, Shitty Bill, spent his Black Friday night behind bars. And I'm not holding any grudges or anything, but I kind of feel like Mama might have been in the wrong for some of the stuff she put me through the ringer for with this one. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how we should just stick to Cyber Monday. Because who the hell wants to get out there and duel with everybody and their mamas? It's like you have to go to gladiator school to be able to do this. It takes a strong MFer to make it out the other side alive. So we had our Thanksgiving supper. I'm laid out on the couch. It's 4:30 in the morning. My stomach is still just growling. Like I ate so damn much. I was about to pop. But that ain't no rest for the wicked or whatever they say. So Mama wakes up and she's hooting and hollering and she's screaming all around and everything. And she comes running into the living room and she slides her EBT card and a handful of coupons into my hand. And she said, Bill, you need to get up off your ass. And I need you to go on down to the store and you need to pick up a four-wheeler for your nephew, E3. And that's Earl Jr.'s son. And, as you know, Earl Jr., he's been at the factory for a long time, but he don't make four-wheeler money. And I reckon Mama does now. So she had me go on down there. But first, though, she made me go on YouTube and watch a Black Friday shopping tutorial. That's how serious this shit was. And they teach you how to gouge out eyes and how to do the tiger claw and how to do the dick twist and all that. Like they mean business because you never know what kind of situation you're going to be in whenever you go walk behind those doors. It's almost like you're behind prison walls of level 3 security. So I get to the store. And when I roll up, I notice that the store is at a standstill in the parking lot. Everybody is sitting on their tailgates. There were some folks grilling out. There was people camping beside the damn doors, and there ain't no telling how long they've been there. It looked like a scene right out of a Mad Max movie. It was the damnedest thing I'd ever seen in my life. There was people out there roasting marshmallows waiting for the doors to open. So I get in line behind this little old lady, and she's probably 5'2" or something like that. She was real small. And I overheard her talking about all the stuff she was getting. She was getting an air fryer. She was getting a PS3. She was getting a bunch of toys for them rotten ass little children she has. And then she said that her brother was there to buy a four-wheeler. And I had heard that they already didn't have a lot of four-wheelers, so I already knew that I needed to make it into that store before this woman. So I get my morning fuel ready. I'll pop me open a cold one and I take me a sip. And I said, "Lady, did you say that you were getting a four-wheeler?" She said, "Yes. My brother's on his way. He's going to come get one. We called ahead of time, and they said they only had one in the store." And I said, "Ma'am, you don't understand. My little nephew, E3, has been waiting for a whole year to get this four-wheeler." And she said, "Baby, you should have put one on layaway. Because when my brother gets here, he's taking that last one out of the store, and he's a third-degree black belt. So I'd like to see you try to take it first." And I said, "Ma'am, I didn't wake up and choose violence. The best man will get to it." And she said, "Okay." So they come and they unlock the door, real slow like, because they're dreading it, waiting on us. We're like rabid animals getting ready to come rip a carcass apart. And they unlock the doors, and everybody's running in. And this little 5'2" lady, she elbows me right in the ribs, and I go down. I go down, but I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I hauled my big fat ass across that store to get to that four-wheeler. But there was no four-wheeler in sight. So I start panicking. I'm looking around. I call Mama. Mama says, "Baby, if you lose a fight, you better not bring your ass back in this house. If you don't come here with a four-wheeler today, you're a failure, and I don't want you in my trailer anymore." So I knew she meant business. Well, while I was there, I decided, well, hell, the four-wheeler can wait a little bit. I'm sure it's in the back and they're getting ready to bring it out. So let me do my shopping. So I went and got me a new toaster. I got me a few rolls of duct tape. I got me a new coffee mug. I watched I watched two grown men fight over the last WWE action figure. I mean, they were clawing at each other. They were throwing hands and elbows and feet, roundhouse kicking, and it was just insane. Pure insanity. And it reminded me of that little question I had when I first arrived to the store. Why the hell did I let Mama rope me up into this garbage? So now that I had my stuff together in my shopping cart, it was time to go start looking for the four-wheeler. Oh, and I need to rewind a little bit because I felt like this was a very important detail that needed to be added, and to show you how serious of a Black Friday night morning that we were at. Um, there was a little man in the parking lot selling brass knuckles and tasers, and when I saw that, I knew right away that I was in for it, and that I may not make it out of this the same as I went into it, but I was here now. Anyway, back to the story. So I'm walking down the aisles. I'm looking high and low, and I see a man rolling one four-wheeler out into the middle of the store. And I knew that that was the one. So I go on over to it, And I say, "Sir, I'm gonna go ahead and take this one. I'll roll it on up to the front." And I heard this weird noise approaching me, almost like somebody was doing jumping jacks across the store. It was the weirdest sound. It was like somebody was. It don't matter. I look up and I see a man, and he's completely dressed from foot to head like a ninja. And he goes, "My good sir, are you prepared for battle for this four-wheeler, or are you gonna let me take it?" And I said, "I reckon we're gonna have to fight. We're gonna have to duel because you ain't taking this four-wheeler nowhere. This is my nephew's E3's four-wheeler, and it's coming home with me today." And he said, "As you please." And he roundhouse kicked me right in the jugular and came down with a Judy chop. And he gave me one of these, and he put me on my ass for about 10 seconds, and I got back up. And I started throwing hands with him too. We're going to war. We're fighting. We knocked down all the racks of clothes. We knocked down a bunch of toys on display. There was there was employees coming at us from each and every angle. They're pulling us apart. We're not having it. We're scratching people's eyes out. We're like two rabid animals. Well, I noticed there was a jug of bleach on the ground, so I reached down and I untwisted it and I threw it into that ninja's face. And he went down screaming, "My eyes! My eyes!" Well, on Black Friday, there is no such thing as a fair fight, and I got the best of him. But he was wiping it out, and he was angry. I mean, he was rageful. He was pissed, and his blood was boiling. So I got on that four-wheeler and I cranked it and I ran it through the store and I knocked over 6 children. And when I got to the front, there was a little old lady. She was a greeter, and she said, "Sir, I need to see your receipt." But I knew if I stopped and paid for it, this man was going to make it up front and he was going to ninja kick my ass. So I said, "Ma'am, you don't understand." And she said, "Sir, the receipt, please." I said, "Ma'am." And she just gave me a clothesline right across the chest and knocked me backwards off the four-wheeler. So I did what any man would have to do. I spit in her eyes. I loogied right in her eyes. And she fell down screaming. And I got on the four-wheeler and I didn't even take it to my truck. I drove it straight to Mama's trailer. I had won. I had got my little nephew E3 a four-wheeler that he was going to open for Christmas. And Mama was finally going to show me some respect. Or so I thought. Because about an hour later, I heard a knocking on the door, and I said, "Mama, don't open it." And she said, "Bill, what did you do?" And I said, "Mama, please, just trust me on this. Don't open it." She goes, "Bill, I'm going to open it." So I jumped off into the washer machine. I barely fit. I'm a big boy. My head was sticking out. And they come through. They said they had a search warrant. And they found my big ass hanging in the dryer, the washer, whatever the fuck it was. And they took me out and they took me to the county jail. And I just knew Mama was going to leave me in there because she told me that if I didn't come back home with a four-wheeler, not to come home at all. So there I am. I'm in the jail, and I heard this awful, familiar voice saying, "Bill, you idiot, what'd you do?" So I kind of look over into the next block, and guess who is in the cell beside me? It was Earl Jr. He got a little too rowdy at the bar, and they come and got him because he fought a bouncer, and the bouncer whooped his ass. And this ain't the first time. And they threw him in the slammer. And now I was just wanting some peace, and now I got to deal with this idiot talking my head off about how I'm the idiot for trying to get his son a four-wheeler for Christmas while he was doing nothing but drinking, gambling, and shooting his mouth off like always. Let me tell you, if we would have been on the other side of them bars, I would have whooped. I would have ripped him a new one. I would have tore into that boy. So that was my Black Friday experience. Ain't nothing fun about it. I spent probably 5 or 6 hours in the slammer. And Officer Richie come through. And by this point, we know each other on a personal level. He calls me by my first name. I know him by his first name. He used to come over for dinner because I reckon him and Mama used to have a thing back in the day. And he said, "Bill, you ready to get out of here?" And I said, I'm always ready to get out of here. Who wants to be in here? But I mean, around this time of year is the best time to be in the jail because they have the best smoke, they have really good food, and it's just peace and quiet. We don't got to deal with presents or none of that bull. But he come and got me out. Mama was there with him. She posted my bail. And let me tell you, she was mad. She was furious. I ain't never seen Mama look like that. She was blood red, looking like a tomato cherry. And she had my truck. I guess she went down to the store and she grabbed it. So she's driving because I'm still drunk at this point. I was drinking when I got back home a lot. So I get in the truck. I said, "I love you, Mama. Thank you for getting me out of here. I promise I'm gonna repay you as soon as I get it. As soon as I get a job." And she said nothing at all. She just started putting her foot to the pedal and a giving it a go. And we get back to the trailer, and she told me to have a seat on the couch, and she was going to talk to me. So I said, okay. She also told me she had somebody she wanted to introduce me to. And I didn't like the way that sounded because usually that's not very good. Mama brings in a guy I used to go to high school with. His name was Buck, and me and Buck never got along. Well, she said, "Baby, this is my new old man, and he's going to be staying here for a couple of nights. And I told you if you didn't win a fight at the Black Friday shopping, not to take your ass back to this trailer. You're out." So her and that little short shit, Buck, grabbed all my stuff and they threw it out on the front porch. And I said, "Mama, where am I supposed to go?" And he started talking like a tough guy. And he goes, "It don't matter where you go. You're 30 years old. You're supposed to have it all figured out already. Get out of your mama's house." And let me tell you something. That pissed me off. I started seeing red. I said, "Okay, okay. That's how it's going to be. Mama, you going to let him talk to your son, your only son, that way?" She said, "Bill, it's time for you to grow up. I don't care where you go, but you ain't staying here tonight." So I did what any logical man would do. I slept on the front porch, and I got a couple hours of sleep until I started hearing something sneaking up on me. So I grabbed my little pellet gun. I'm out there and who's out here? I don't want to hurt nobody, but don't be sneaking up on me. Earl, if that's you and you got out of jail, you need to go on back to your house. I don't have time to deal with you. As you can tell, I'm going through it. So I started hearing something. Started hearing something going through the garbage. I started seeing my clothes flying everywhere, and I'm looking around to see what's going on. And I look over into the trash. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I look over into the trash. And Cousin Kyle from down the block is in the trash can with what he is calling his pet raccoon. He says his raccoon is teaching him survival skills, teaching him how to live off of garbage. I said, Kyle, you're going to catch rabies, dude. He goes, you don't tell me what to do. I'm not listening to anybody who's been to jail 4 times this year over petty crimes. And I didn't know what to say. I was honestly so speechless that I was sitting on my front porch with a pellet pistol, pellet gun, whatever you want to call it, and I'm seeing my cousin and a raccoon that he's named Ricky digging through the garbage bins. This is just it mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. It made me want to pull out my hair. I was so mad and I was so cold. I got up and I started beating on the door. Ain't nobody come to the door. I'm knocking on the window. Mama ain't coming to the window. Finally, I heard the door crack open. And this short little sack of shit, Buck, he comes to the door wearing Mama's pink robe, and ain't nothing else underneath it except boxers and a pair of boots. And he goes, what do you want, boy? And I said, I want back in my house, Buck. He goes, well, it ain't happening today. See, me and your mama, we got something going on, and you're going to need to stay out here if you know what's best for you. And I said, if I know what's best for me, if you know what's best for you is you're going to move your short little stumpy butt from behind this door and let me back inside to sleep on my couch. And he slams the door in my face. All right, okay, I'll let you have it. I sat my ass back down on the porch because I knew Mama had to be at work in just a few hours. So it's about 6 o'clock in the morning. Mama comes to the door. She said, "Go on if you're gonna go on. If you're gonna go back in the house, go on and get in there, or I change my mind." And Mama was on her way to her shift at the Waffle King. So I go inside and I'm freezing. I grab a blanket and a cold one that I shouldn't have had because I was freezing. And I get up underneath the blanket on the couch and I'm throwing it back, trying to get a little bit of a buzz going. And Buck comes into the living room in his underwear and he says, Bill, when you gonna get a job and get out of this house? Me and your mom are trying to start a family. Start a family? You ain't starting nothing with my mama. I'm the only child she's gonna see that she's gonna have. And he goes on about his business. He goes into the kitchen and starts cooking my bacon and my eggs. He didn't even ask me if I wanted any. But I let it slide. I just got out of jail. I had a rough night. I was ready to just relax. Well, he eats his food and he comes, looks at me, and he gets eye level with me. We're like this. He goes, Billy, why don't you get up off your ass and go clean the house for your mama gets home from work? And I said, "What did you say? You want me to clean the house?" I don't think so, buddy. I stood up and I was madder than hell. I was like a dog in heat ready to get up on him. I said, "Listen here, Buck. I've had just about enough of your damn mouth. You are going to go in that kitchen and clean, and you are going to go back into that room and you're going to leave me alone." Well, he didn't like that. He bucked his little chest up to me. Bucked. I said, "Why don't we take this outside?" He said, "Okay, if you're ready to be embarrassed, big man." So we went outside, and pow, he sucker punched me right in my nose. My nose is gushing. I started seeing red. Well, I put a hurting on that boy, let me tell you. I folded him like a lawn chair and left him on the grass. Well, Mama come home about an hour later, and she seen her old man out there. And she come inside and said, "Bill, did you do that?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I sure did." And she said, "Well, let me tell you something. This is my house and you're grounded." I said, I'm 30 years old, Mama. You can't ground me." And that short little MFer come into my room and he took my door off my hinges and Mama let him. You believe that? I'm 30 years old. He's only a year younger than me. We went to high school together and him and Mama are grounded me. That's crazy work. Oh, thank you guys for just letting me rant to you weekly because sometimes you guys are all I got to keep me sane. It's always some tomfoolery or some shenanigans going on in this house, and I'm tired of it. And I swear I'm going to move out of this trailer as soon as I can. And let me tell you, Mama's going to rue the day that she bought that short little shit into this house. And I reckon next week I'm going off to Sheila's house or Sheila's parents' house. I'm going to meet her family for the first time. And let me tell you, I'm excited. I'm ready to meet the people who made such a beautiful creation like her. I bet they're some of the best people. I already know we're gonna have such a good relationship. They're gonna love me. We're gonna get along great. Me and Sheila are gonna live happily ever after. And we're gonna move into Mama's trailer. We're gonna put her in a retirement home. We're gonna have 2 dogs and 1 child that I will name Shiddy Bill Jr. And unless it's a girl, then I'll name her Shitty Shirley. That has a ring to it. It's real cute, you know. Man, y'all should have seen the look on Mama's face whenever she saw her little short SOB sitting his ass on the front porch all folded up. It was so funny, but she was so mad. I'm always the one getting in trouble around here, and I demand respect. Thank you guys so much for watching and for being a part of this and for letting me rant your ears off for 30 minutes or more, depending on the week. But it's real hard talking to a camera with myself on the other end of it. Thank you for watching another shitty day with Shitty Bill. And I'll see you next week. And remember, if your mama brings home a new man and you don't like him, you gotta stand your ground and kick his ass. All right, bye.